G'day guys, sorry about that false alarm if you were happening to watch our last live stream. So we've got a pretty exciting live today. We're talking to Juliana. That's Juliana Lisboa or Jules Lisboa in the Facebook community. She's our resident dietitian and nutritional expert. So we've got a whole bunch of questions that we've had submitted from you guys, and Juliana's just going to give a bit of a brief about her. G'day Kerry, how you going? About her philosophy. She has a very, very interesting philosophy to do with nutrition, and it is a little bit different to what most people might be familiar with. So it'll be great to get her talking about that, as well as dispelling some of the common nutritional myths. So we'll just wait for Juliana to jump on into the chat here. Here we go. I think we've got her. Let's see. Oh, no, 3 in the audience. I'm not sure where she is. Sorry about that. But it should be great to see her jumping in and answering some of the questions. We had a bunch of questions from you guys, and the way we're going to structure this is really short, digestible, and easy to view content. So we're just going to ask the questions that come up. We'll do it on a fairly regular basis, and Jules will just kind of touch on one of the points, give some key takeaway for you guys, and takeaways, I should say. And if you have any other burning questions, please don't hesitate to drop them in the comments box, and we'll give them a good shot at answering them. So again, just waiting for Jules to jump on here. We had some troubles with the Facebook Live connecting on the sorry about that. It seems like she's not in the chat. I'm just going to pause it for a second, guys. Apologies. Okay, back again. This is a nightmare. Sorry about that, guys. But we're just trying to troubleshoot getting Jules in on the interview. Technical difficulties, hey? How good is Facebook? So, here we go. 2 people watching. Who have we got? Okay. Let's see if we can add Jules here. See if this works. Okay. So if this doesn't work, what we'll do is we'll just get Jules to record a video answering the questions and talking a little bit about herself. And then we'll share that with you guys and hopefully have a better system moving forward. It's great to have a few of you guys checking in. Really, really awesome. Really cool. And I think it'll be a really exciting opportunity. Oh, here we go. Here she is. Fantastic. All right. There we go. Just going to be jumping on now. Apologies for that awkward introduction, guys. So while we're waiting, it should be exciting because over time we'll be able to really answer some questions and get to the bottom of things. Hello, how are we doing?
Hello. Sorry about that, technology.
That's all right. Like me and Luke can do the same thing, so no dramas at all. How you been going?
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good.
Had a couple of clients this morning. Did it sound like?
I did. Yes. Yes. Kind of enjoying this telehealth situation.
Yeah, right. So did have you
Yeah.
found the whole period has it been particularly stressful for you, or things stayed pretty constant?
Oh, it's been pretty okay here in Canberra, and it was nice to reconnect with some of my clients in Tassie and Sydney as well. So have to see the positive sides of it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Ah, cool. Well, I guess we won't beat around the bush too much. Just in terms of an introduction, like this is the first time I've kind of met you face to face. Could you
Yep.
give us and the audience like a bit of an intro about your kind of nutritional philosophy and how you got started?
Ooh, they're two separate things, I suppose. I've
Yeah. Okay.
been working as a dietitian for about 11 years now. And the way I got started was more sort of chasing the perfect diet.
Hmm.
Thinking, oh, yes, I'm going to go to uni and I'm going to learn I honestly thought I was going to live there with an A4 sheet with all the information I needed to know to make the best meal plan ever. Um, so yeah, I was there chasing the perfect diet, and it took me a while to realize that such thing doesn't exist, um, and to change the way that we look at food and nutrition. So not as, so much what what's the perfect diet to eat, but how food can make you feel better. What can it do for you? And what's the combination that's going to work? So yeah, so since then I call myself kind of a non-diet dietitian, and really try to work with the person, rather than subscribe to a specific set of rules that a diet has. And I kind of like to compare that with exercise and movement, right? So a diet would be a sport
Mm-hmm.
rather than exercise and movement.
Yeah.
So if you think of a sport, there is that, you play volleyball, great. I play rugby, someone else swims, the other one combines a few things and does triathlon. And that's okay. You don't have to spend time arguing which sport is the best sport. You have to find the one that works for you and that you like and that gives you pleasure, that works with your beliefs, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, that's so
So you're
interesting.
always moving and you always exercise.
I think it really ties into one of the big principles that we talk about a lot, which is that empowerment piece. And it's, empowering
Mm,
someone to not have to think about the things that are beneficial for them. And in your context, it's the diet side of things, and in our context, it's the exercise. And I really like that analogy of, comparing the diets as like a sport, and ideally, the way that someone eats, like, correct me if I'm wrong here, but someone should enjoy the way they eat, right?
absolutely.
And it sounds like, I mean, having a look at some of the stuff that is on the Pura Vida website, like that's a lot of the philosophy is, enjoying what you're eating, thinking about the effects that the food has, and reflecting on, okay, well, how does that empower the person who's able to kind of take charge of their nutrition in that way?
Yeah,
Interesting. I think.
absolutely. Is not.
Sorry, go on. A little bit of a time
No,
delay
I
here.
was just going to say, yeah. It is about having a good relationship with food and making food work for you.
Awesome. How did you kind of stumble across that philosophy? What shifted your belief towards that?
One of the it was a learning process. It wasn't just one thing, but definitely one of the big things was a job that I took at an eating disorders outpatient clinic. And for me, that was really interesting because I was seeing all these symptoms and issues that people with eating disorders were going through. And I was recognizing a lot of that on my other clients, my private practice clients, that didn't have that to a point where they would be diagnosed with an eating disorder, but they were showing a lot of the same kind of styles of thinking and behaving towards food. So that's when I started to understand, well, hang on. This way of seeing food as very black and white, right or wrong, good or bad, is not leading us to where we actually want to go with this.
Yeah, okay. And like, I guess that's so interesting because, I mean, it's the more that I learn about it, the more I look into it, you realize that it is like one big continuum, and it's about the context of where food is being eaten. Well, at least that's something that I've kind of realized in the sporting realm, and Do you see, like, just hearing you talk about the way that people think about food in like a disordered way? Do you see that playing out
Mm.
in a lot of clients? Like, is that something that's quite prevalent today?
Yeah, I would say that, I mean, in a way, I'm biased because that's the population that I see have, uh, will be struggling with food in some way. But I do see a lot of that poor relationship with food. Um, and if you think about it, Ben, it's the society that we live in general, it's a very diet focused society. So we learn as kids that, you have to finish everything that's on your plate, irrespective of your hunger levels.
Hmm.
And you have to eat this food before you are allowed to eat that food. And that other food there is a treat. So if you're a good boy or a good girl, then you can have that. And all those things start to kind of send that message that, especially when you're a teenager, or you get into a sport that you're too heavy for this sport, or you're too light, or you need this. So it's we get those messages all the time, and if you're not paying attention to it, then they can be all consuming.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Of course. And so when you do work with people in this way, what is probably the biggest difference that you notice for them?
um, a lot of it is how they understand and see food. So for example, you're more comfortable. You're comfortable to make your choice without it being about a rule, without
Hmm.
being I should eat this because I have to. It's like, I'm eating this because I enjoy it. I know it makes me feel great, and this amount is, you're aware of it, so you can stop when you've had enough. It's
Hmm.
not you 5 minutes ago going, oh, I'm only going to have this much. And it's also not you going, oh, Juliana told me that I can only have a cup of this.
Yeah.
It's you've really been present at the time and going, yeah, that's enough. And this is how I feel like. So it's a lot more intuitive in a way.
Yeah, okay. It sounds a bit like, I mean, I have a tendency to eat too much, and it sounds like it's almost a bit of a mindful eating type practice to check in with how you're eating and being aware of the things that we're consuming. I imagine, and I see it a lot, that would be a big problem that you encounter a fair bit is people lacking the mindfulness when they are eating, right?
Yeah, I mean, um, another thing that happens very, very commonly is it's a kind of daily cycle of trying to diet. So
Yeah.
you start the day by having a tiny breakfast, or even sometimes skipping breakfast because you're trying to fast, or you're, reducing your calories, so you eat very little. And then you get to lunch, you forgot your lunch, brought a small lunch, are too busy to stop to have a meal, whatever it is. So for the first half of the day, you're not eating quite a lot. Then as soon as you get home and you relax, and it's like, oh, it's the end of the day. Now I'm going to have my dinner. Then it's a big dinner. And then
Hmm.
after dinner, there might be a few snacks as well. And then it brings a sense of kind of a lack of control in there, of, whoa, hang on, if I don't micromanage this, look at how much I eat.
Yeah.
And in a way, it's mean at that time to go, oh, you have to be mindful and really pay attention to what you're eating because you're so hungry
Hmm.
that it's a natural response to want to eat more. So it's considering that bigger picture as well of, okay, well, rather than judging yourself for, oh, I'm eating too much, is how come did I get to this point? Like, what happened through the day? And you can go, oh, yeah, well, I didn't really have a big breakfast, or I didn't really have lunch. And that can help you to then control, manage your hunger. So in the evening, you're not going to feel like eating so fast or a big amount.
Okay, so it's almost like setting someone up for success throughout the day. Do you tend to recommend for different people. Like some people might do better with smaller meals, and some might do better with larger meals spread out. Like, how do you practically assign that? Or I mean, it's probably a bit individual, right?
Yeah, it's quite individual. Some people, as you said, some people are quite happy to have just 3 meals a day. Others prefer to have more constant snacks. It really depends on their day to day and the opportunities for them to eat and when you're going to eat and how much. But also behind that is getting people to understand their hunger and fullness cues, which a lot of the times, again, because we have all those messages, for example, with hunger. Oh, no, no, you're not hungry. You're thirsty. As soon as
Mm-hmm.
you're hungry, just drink a glass of water and go do something else. So you start to not trust those initial signals, and
Mm-hmm.
you only re respond to hunger when it's quite high, when you're starving already.
Yeah.
So it's kind of understanding and identifying those earlier signals so you can go, oh, okay, I'm hungry now, and this is the time I need to eat.
Okay,
Yeah.
super interesting. Like I know, I guess that I mean I like that idea and the overall philosophy because it's so freeing. Like I know what it's like personally to try and restrict your eating, and it just becomes frustrating in social circumstances. And then someone's like, oh, why can't you eat that? And you'll be sitting at a dinner table or you're going out to eat, and it's impractical, especially in a city. I find, and so I think
Mm-hmm.
the philosophy that you outline is. Would I mean I've slowly adopted more towards that myself, and I can imagine, just speaking to you over the coming weeks, like I'll probably get a better idea of how I can free myself from the rules and things like that. So I really like
Mm.
that way of thinking about it. And I guess to sum up, like kind of what we've talked about today, do you have any practical takeaways or things that you'd like to leave with the audience, just so that they can maybe kind of implement some of the things that you've talked about?
Yeah. One of the things I like to start with when you're starting to think about diet and diet rules and things like that is try to identify the food police. Where is the food police? Where's the judgment coming um, when you're making those choices? So I think it's really important to find the judgment around our food choices. So why are you having this lunch? Because is it because you enjoy this lunch, it makes you feel good, it's sustaining, or is it because you should, because you're trying to be good today, because one must eat high protein or one must eat plant, etc. So kind of identifying where that little voice comes up.
Interesting. And like, do you find when you say food police, do you find that that's a lot of popular notions that are kind of spread in the fitness industry, probably like probably the main culprit, all the Instagram models and things like that. But I guess is that where you see that stuff stemming from?
Yeah, I mean, we are surrounded by those messages everywhere. And unfortunately, it also comes from people that are very close to us. A lot of our parents were quite body image focused and diet focused, and a lot of well-meaning, friends and health professionals might give those advice. Oh, you must lose weight, or you have to eat this way, you have to eat that way, and sometimes that's not all that helpful.
Ah, cool. I mean, that's really awesome, and I can't wait over the coming weeks and over time. Like we'll be able to kind of touch on a lot of those points a little bit more. And like you mentioned, some of the things of the questions that people asked about. There was people asking about like, the vegan diet, and intermittent fasting. So it'd be great to get your take on those things, and really expand on a lot of those concepts because I think there's a lot to be taken out of that. And I mean, in my own experience of dieting, like it's a short-term solution a lot of the time. So I think it'll be really cool to share all your insights with the community. And I that's given everyone a bit of context. It was really great to hear from you today. And yeah, is there anything else you kind of want to leave people with before we head off for today?
No, thanks for the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to discussing this other diets. And although I'm an a non-diet dietitian, I think there's still a lot to learn from a vegan diet or intermittent fasting or LCHF and whatever. It's not that black and white. So I'll be looking forward to discussing that stuff with you.
Yeah, awesome. And in the meantime, guys, like Jules has got a lot of resources on her website, so we'll get some really cool articles that she's created or that she likes, and share those with you guys so that we can kind of brush up on some of the really important topics to do with nutrition. So thanks for your time today, and we'll make sure to connect you with everyone in the future. Thanks, Jules.
Cool.
Cheers.
Cheers.